All right, welcome everybody. It is March. It is a beautiful day here in my neck of the woods, and today is our monthly idea share. My name is Beth Golick from Key Ministry, and looks like we have a great group here today. So this is just our monthly discussion. It's a time of encouragement, idea sharing, brainstorming, checking in. So who would like to start? Don't leave me. Yes, I was looking at Julie. Okay, Julie and then Al.
I try so very hard to hold off, but there's some really cool things to share. So I am now officially a part-time employee of our church in the disability ministry. So I'm very, very, very thrilled about that. And y'all have just empowered me for the last, 4 years now. And we're so grateful for that. So I had my first respite night on Friday that I actually participated in. I knew it had been going on for a long time, and our families that we interact with our parent support group, of course, have taken advantage of it. And this is an event that's only for our church members because it grows too big and then you can't do anything. So we have community events, but this one is just for our church members. And so I was just really impressed because the other thing that we get to utilize with Liberty University in our back door, we get to utilize the college students. So there's this club. I don't know if y'all have heard of this. It's called the Council for Exceptional Children Club, and it's a college. I think it's a college club, but it is nationwide. Yeah. And so the students, it's actually a club that you have to pay dues to. So these are committed students. And so they come on our respite nights and they come to our community events and they work one-on-one with the students when they come to us. And so it was so beautiful to watch these college students. And there were actually more college students than we had people that we were caring for. So it was kind of fun to watch how they interacted with the kids. But we had pizza, we have an indoor playground, so we did playground and a movie, and we were all settled in our sensory room, which is called a snoozlin room. It's like on steroids, this sensory room. I'll have to take some pictures and show you guys one day, but it is by itself, it is an amazing place for these kids to be able to hang out, and for us as adults to be able to hang out too. It's a pretty cool place. So anyway, I just needed to share that the beauty of all of that was to watch the college students, and they have all majors are invited to join the club. So, but the ones who are in the special needs major have to join the club. That's part of their curriculum. That's part of their deal that they have to do. So it is just a really cool, really, really cool organization, and then to watch and just to be there. It had been a while since I actually hung out with the kids because we do all parent stuff. And it was just beautiful to watch them as individuals and start to get to know them as people that are just blessing everybody. When they come in and they all have their own little personalities, and you just kind of laugh at some of their little antics, and it's just a beautiful thing. Anyway, I just had to share that because it's so exciting.
And Andrea did post that it is called the Council for Exceptional Children's Club.
Yes.
So thank you for posting that.
Okay, well, this was a great way to kick off. Julie, that is so exciting. First of all, how amazing is it for your church to have you on staff? That's incredible. And I love how you are partnering with, your local university. What a blessing for your church. What a blessing for the university. Um, and how interesting that the respite event is. I get what you're saying, like it's only for your congregation because, as we all know, respite events are such a huge outreach opportunity. But you're talking about such a large population already. You're not able, yeah. So, but I know you have other events that are community events, community outreach. So that is fabulous. And you know what? You made me think when you said almost 4 years now. So for those of you who don't know, our first idea share happened I want to say about a week after the world shut down in March of 2020. So, I mean, literally, I think we started this like probably around March 20th or something like that. And for a while, we were meeting every single week, and now we meet every single month. But in March, well, it is March. So, like in a week or two, it literally will be 4 years. So that's pretty incredible. Anyway, okay, I'm getting a little emotional here. Okay, so Katie shared in the chat the link to the Exceptional Children's Club. So it's exceptionalchildren.org. And Katie shared that there is, oh, go ahead, Katie.
I was going to say it's really a more of a bigger organization. They have a lot of stuff, but their main focus, just in the brief minute that I went on there, is looking at educators who are leaning towards special education. Y'all will have to explore it, but I was curious and always looking for an army of volunteers.
Yes.
And so, and they do have one in South Carolina, so I've already bookmarked it to go back and look, and that's beautiful to have. But it's actually more than that, and it may be worth everyone's time to just go on their site and explore.
And they're going to wonder what happened when all of a sudden, all over the country, everybody's tapping into their local Exceptional Children's Club. Thank you both for that information. Very exciting. All right, let's hear from Al next.
Yeah, Al from New Jersey, close to New York City. I've mentioned some projects in France the last year or so. And my point person really in France is on this call. Her name is Catherine Moreau. She's actually British. So Allison, she's a colleague of yours. She's been in France for a long time, married a French pastor, 3 kids, one with autism. She actually was knighted, I think, by the government for her work with autism. For not being a French person, that's pretty cool. And but yeah, we're working on some projects going forward as well. So I invited her to come and join us and meet some of my friends here. So Catherine, welcome.
Welcome.
Hi, nice to meet you all. It is 6 o'clock in the evening here, and it's a miserable day, and it's tipping with rain. But no, I'm really happy to be here, and just hope to pick up on some ideas and just get to know you all gradually. And yeah, as Al was saying, we're working on some baby projects here in France that and it's been an exciting year, because when things start happening, you suddenly realize that there's lots of other people that have been thinking about the same projects, and it all comes together in God's timing. So that's where we are now. Thank you for your welcome.
Well, thank you for being here, and welcome. And we're always really excited to hear what Al has to share about his experiences, especially when he gets to travel overseas and take part in some of the ministries that you're talking about. And Al is actually going to be presenting about that at our Disability in the Church conference that's happening May 1st through 3rd. So I'm excited to hear more from him on that. So thank you. Thank you both for being here. All right. Who else has something to share? Andrea.
So I'm mainly keeping my video off today. I'm at home and I'm coming off of a very big weekend, a big event that we have every year. This was our 4th annual Moms Retreat. And so this year we had about 40 moms that attended. Probably about 12 of my volunteers came together to help me throughout the weekend. We have done this different ways over the 4 years. The first year we went away overnight. And we only had about 17 people total. And the moms wanted that, so that's what we tried first, but then they realized how hard it is to make the arrangements to be gone overnight. So the next year we moved it and we hosted the event at our church, and we gave the option that they could, with roommates, stay at a hotel overnight if they wanted to. And that kind of turned into an ordeal. So then last year and this year, we just have the event. We don't offer hotel, we don't go away, but it's really neat to see how God has even worked this out in our ministry. So we started a life group for parents. It'll be 2 years ago this October. And the leader and her husband of that, have been blessed with this beautiful home out in the country on acreage, about 10-15 minutes from our church. And it's large enough to host us for this retreat. And it's just such a beautiful setting. So we cater in food, we bring in a speaker. This year I had a friend who came as our Price is Right host. We did Price is Right, we did flower arranging, we played bunco, and then did a craft at the very end. But we have 3 speaking sessions. This year, our speaker, she actually has her doctorate in biblical counseling, but then she also has 2 teenage sons that both have Down syndrome and autism. And so she had that background of understanding what the moms, lives are like, but then also the biblical counseling background. Her husband's a pastor. And it was just such an amazing weekend. We have moms who, and I'm going to get emotional, but some of these mamas I've been reaching out to for 11 years, and they are so hungry for the word, and they're growing in their faith. And it's just so exciting to see what God is doing. And so that's what I just got done doing.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. That's just, yeah, I can see why you get emotional about it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then to work so hard on something and to see the fruit from that.
Yeah. And it's a free event. We do not charge for any of our events. So these moms get to come. It's actually takes a large chunk of my budget every year, but it's so worth it because they need it.
Yeah.
And just the community that's been formed amongst the moms just from this one event once a year has really, friendships have been formed that now they talk all the time and have each other. So
Julie, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, Andrea, thank you for sharing that. And I really appreciate when there's an opportunity for moms, dads, parents to get teaching from the word, because there's a lot of things out there in the community that can be available to them, and sometimes there's not enough, but there are things that secularly that they can pick up on, right? But we are the only ones that can bring Christ to them. We are the only, and I get emotional over that. And I've been convicted about that so much over the last few months, and realizing that when you offer to bring a speaker into, a parent setting like that, we need to make sure that they have a good message from the word for our parents, because they're not going to get anywhere else. And that's really where the strength comes from to raise these precious children that we've been called to raise. So thank you for doing that and for inspiring all of us as well.
Well said. Very well said. So on the subject of like moms retreats, parent retreats, and I'll put in a plug for them, but Rising Above hosts By the Brook, it's an in-person event this year in Tennessee, but then you can live stream it at your location. So if you're wanting to try something along the lines of what Andrea is doing, but you don't want to start from scratch, I recommend you check out risingabove.org and see what, see if that's something that you could make happen in your, have your local church host it. So, thank you. All right, who else has something to share? Yes, Barb.
I just give an update on what we've been doing. I'm Barb from Wonderful Works, and we are an online resource center. So we make videos and trainings and all those things. As a lot of you know, we have been working on this grant project with the Church of the Nazarene to make this adapted discipleship resource library, which will have our training videos, adapted children's Bible videos, classroom tools. And I'm not sure if I shared this here or not, but we originally had talked about, once we got it launched with the Church of Nazarene, doing subscriptions or things for other denominations and churches, but our board has voted that once we launch it, we're going to make it completely free to anyone that wants it. So that's been really,
wow.
Yeah, we're really, we just all decided we're going to take a leap of faith that God will find another way to keep funding us in the future after this grant runs out. But our mission really is not just Church of Nazarene, and we're non-denominational, our Wonderful Works, but making things available for every church, no matter how small they are. And the truth of the matter is, like, you think like, oh, a $30 subscription or something a month isn't a big deal, but when you are a 100-person church, you're not going to do it. So
Right.
once it's launched, we'll start launching probably in about 6 months, and then we'll keep adding to it over the next 5 years. Anyone can use it. So that's our big news.
That is amazing. I
Yeah,
mean,
we're super
God,
excited.
and just that's so cool. And for those of you who are not familiar with the work that Barb and Wonderful Works produces,
Mhm.
it is good stuff.
Thank you.
And so this is just, wow, that's incredible news.
Yeah, so that's in our prayer request is, so we did the first 2 adapted children's Bible videos with adapted lessons, and they are out right now in an anonymous focus group. So we're waiting to hear back our survey results. So pray for kindness.
Yes.
But
Oh, that's
yeah, so I just want to share that. But we're excited.
cool. Oh, I love it. All kinds of good news today. All right. Anybody else want to share? Did you raise your hand, Al?
I did. I know a lot of us did Night to Shine in the last month. And it was great again. One thing our church does, the demand's so high, we actually do back-to-back ones. We have permission from the Tebow Foundation to do a Thursday and a Friday one. And you have to do a big cleanup anyway and big setup. So it's really not that much more work to do 2 than 1. In terms of setup and cleanup and all that stuff. I mean, there's more expense certainly, and volunteers and all that. But everyone I talked to was very grateful, all the families that attended. And so we had 350 of both. So by doing 2, we could have another 350 families involved. And so it's still a drop in the bucket in a sense because there's so much need, but it's still a chance to bless a lot more people by doubling up Night to Shine, doing 2 in a row. So if you're thinking about that, consider it. Just because it's out of the box in some ways, but it's brilliant in other ways because you can use your resources and set up and all that and to bless more people.
So, so Al and Allison and I were texting about this kind of, I guess it was right after. It must have been probably the next morning or so. I don't know. I'm blown away by what, Al's church is able to pull. I mean, it makes a ton of sense. Personally, I couldn't even get off the couch Saturday morning, so I'm not sure that I could have gotten up and done another one. But that's just, it's so amazing. And to be able to bless 700 honored guests and their families is really amazing. So yeah, I mean, I think that is I think if you reach the point where you're maxed out on the number of people you can take, talk to Al about that possibility. And I know he did tell us, like, there's each evening has its own, like, I don't know what you call it, like, team. What would you call it?
Yeah, it's a team. I mean, the leaders are both nights, they're working together on both nights, but some people double up and do both. Others just do one or the other.
Yeah.
In a sense, you get to train more people as well by having more. You can get more people involved volunteer wise as well by doing 2.
Yeah. So anyway, it's amazing. And yeah, so talk to Al if you have any questions about that. All right, so we have a couple hands up. I think Linda's went up first, so we'll go Linda and then Katie.
Yes, we are my family, my sister, my 2 nieces, and possibly my nephew. He's being a little problematic about going to Europe. We decided to push our trip back to the April because I was talking to we have a colleague that's in the village with the families, and the families would really like to see Zoriana. She's the doctor that's over in Germany. So I talked to her Saturday, so we're gonna push it back into April so I can bring her to the village on Friday and she'll stay in the village, be with the families. We'll come in and help with things. We are trying to get respite care at the local church, but the problem in Germany is they don't use babysitters. So it's I didn't think about that at first, and I'm like, oh gosh. So we are going to do, but we also are trying to, I'm asking for prayer that we can get the 4 families to foster a little community. So one family, parents want to have a rest, maybe the other family, another family will come in and help with the kid or the kids, and they're just not doing that right now. So pray that we can foster this and we can get our dates aligned well. We are 47% fully funded for the trip. We're primarily covering airfare because it's just crazy over there. So, but it looks like it's going to be a nice little small trip. We will visit with the orphans that have disabilities. Pray that that goes well, because sometimes they say, yeah, you can come, and then no, you can't come. And it's just, I can't understand that. But we decided that we will not have an access camp in Germany because there's a lot of complications with the Olympics. It's just everything is so condensed. People are like, well, that's not, well, the problem is they're going to be using airports there. And I just can't get people. I really want the local church to be involved. And I can't get, they're all on vacation when we can be there. So I'm going to be in Poland, but I will visit the families because just me, it's easier, you know. And it's just so impactful for them when I come and visit, even if it's only for a couple hours, it's just impactful. And my ministry is going independent from SALT. I just processed my 1023 form, easy. Let's pray that that will be approved. It takes like 90 days. But things are going well. I mean, I'm getting some good donations. I know donations are hard for everybody right now. There's so much competition for donations for mission work. And prayed Zoriana has an interview. We're praying that she'll be able to come to disability in the church.
Okay.
I think it's good. I have housing for her. I'm just waiting to pay for everything because she's not sure yet, but she hasn't had a problem before, but she has an interview. She didn't, I don't remember when, but pray that she'll get her visa. She'll be able to come and everything's good. She'll be staying with my family. My sister and nieces are going to run the table. So she'll be around a lot of people. And a colleague of ours is coming, Carrie Purdue, who is part of SALT, but also a special needs teacher in Fairfax County Public Schools. She's coming and I'm able to house her. So, because we have this huge condo unit.
Yeah, Linda's got a whole big team.
Yeah, we got a whole big team. I got big 3-bedroom condo resort thing. So, yeah, and then it is a lot of good is going on. I have a blog coming out. Pray for this. I've never written about my experience with cutting in such a kind of raw way. I know my last blog was pretty raw about the reality of being alone and how the church community is a mess. I wasn't trying to be nasty to everybody. But I was trying to show people the reality of a lot of people's lives that are Christians that are hurting. But yeah, pray that people are, when I write, I've never been this open in a kind of, like I've talked to people, but I've never been kind of like for a more broader audience. It took a long, and March 1st was like self-injury, whatever, awareness day. But yeah, pray that people don't get freaked out, but I just wanted to be real about my situation. It is a lot different than what most people go through, a little bit different because my Asperger's, but.
Well, thank you, Linda. And so for those of you who don't know, I really encourage you to follow Linda she's at abnormalmissionary.org. And she does amazing obviously oversees mission work, and just has such a unique perspective, I think. And so I really encourage you to, um, follow her, read the blog, follow what she's doing. She's an amazing photographer as well. So you get a really, really cool glimpse at the work that she's doing. So thank you, Linda.
The interesting thing about, I have a master's degree. A lot of people don't realize this. And when I was an infant, my parents are told by John Hopkins, Kennedy Krieger to institutionalize me because I would never be taught. So I have an MFA from Maryland Institute College of Art, which is a very small school. So I'm really a fine artist, and people just don't realize I don't talk a lot about it. I primarily got a master's degree to prove that woman wrong.
Oh, I
And I
love
found out she really didn't like kids. So I'm like, well, why would she like working with kids? That's very weird. I mean, the other people I saw down there were wonderful. And I was just like, well, that's interesting. But yeah, so I do, a lot of people don't realize this about me because I just don't, I love doing photography, but I'm actually working on an art piece now about the 800 children that were outright murdered in Vienna during the Holocaust. So, because I want people to know about this.
Yeah. Well,
So
come
thank
to
you.
Disability in the Church and see Linda and her team. So there's a little plug for you. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah. Katie, what's up?
Well, I haven't been to but one of these, but I did want to share something in the world of adult disability ministry, which David's Table is adults out of high school and their families, and some things that as we've grown in size and began navigating more complex things with our families and our adults. The biggest thing lately in the last 3 or 4 months has been death. And not death of our friends, but death of family members and no planning for our friends. And so we have been walking through this several times now, so much so that it might seem really strange that in my network of resources, I now have a relationship with a mortuary and with a counseling center and all kinds of things. I've been to court for an adult that was placed in protective services and worked with DSS and guardian ad litems now when there was no one but the mom who passed and a 39-year-old. So we are learning rapidly how to come alongside these really hard, difficult situations. And I just want to say, as hard as all that sounds, God has opened a number of doors for us. And it's been amazing. So we're capturing all this, establishing relationships, having some really good prayer time, discussing ways we can come alongside our parents proactively and creating some tools. But if you would have told me that this would kind of be one of our mission focuses when we were thinking about our main goals, which are to create community and connect to resources and make disciples. If you would have told me this would become a big part of our family ministry, I don't know that I would have seen it, but I will tell you there's been much beauty in it, not just within, but also in navigating relationships with secular and government organizations and seeing them welcome us to the table to help provide for these vulnerable adults. So I just want to say that as a word of encouragement, and also just we are not a church. David's Table is we are growing. I have 3 more churches I get to meet with this week, and I'm excited. One who out the gate already has a respite event March 22nd for our community. And so, as I said, God is good, but that's where we are right now. And I can't wait to see everybody at Disability in the Church, and bringing a bigger team this time. And 10 people from my home church are coming. So really excited about that. So.
Okay. Wow. This is a lot. Katie, thanks for sharing that, because like when we're creating community and coming alongside families, I mean, this is part of it. And I don't, I mean, I don't think I was thinking about that either. So thank you for the work that you're doing, for the resource you are now going to be for us. And yeah, this is amazing. I know couple years ago, we did a disability ministry video roundtable on guardianship. Ryan Wolf presented, and it was really, really, I thought, excellent information. So if, for those of you who want to learn a little bit more about this, I would recommend checking that out. It would be on the Key Ministry Vimeo and YouTube channels. But wow, Katie, that's
Well, and the greatest challenge is even, you know, not all of them do have guardianship. And most of you on this call do not know that I'm a mom myself. I have 3 adult daughters with disabilities, a stepdaughter, a biological daughter, and now one who we've petitioned for legal guardianship that we got, who aged out of DSS foster care. And so it's more this, it's my daughters are all very different, and if you don't know them and you want to enter in to help them and you don't know them, it would be very difficult. One's schizophrenic, 2 have autism, 1 has very debilitating anxiety and cerebral palsy, and the things that would trigger one wouldn't trigger the other. So the first little baby step we're looking at is there's something called a letter of intent that you can help parents author. And so that's our first out the gate, is just to try to tell parents, if you were gone today and someone had to walk in, how could they best have, we all know the need for a win out the gate with our families. It's the same thing. And you're coming into really, really difficult circumstances. So thankfully, this scenario that I talked about, this 39-year-old had lived with me for 6.5 months. God had providentially, about 2 years ago, when his mom went in the hospital. And so God knew and saw then that we would need to leverage that relationship to get into the court and to get him in the least restrictive environment. And I had a relationship with him, so that made that possible. So how can we get equipped in advance to begin having our parents think about something that's hard to think about? But gosh, it's a great way to love and leave an opportunity for a much better future than not having the information. So anyway, it's a crazy journey. But I have to tell y'all, and I hate that y'all can't see my face. And Beth will tell you I'm quite an animated individual.
Yes, she is.
But just to say, I would love you to see the hope on my face, because I am in no way discouraged or dismayed. He has literally opened doors that the judge herself was like, I can't believe you 3 organizations work together because he's still in an apartment here in Greenville, part of our community. And we're excited that they let us do that. So.
wow.
Yeah.
So,
all God.
so I'm seeing lots of heads nodding. I think there are, and Andrea's sharing that she has something very similar going on right now. So this is, for those of you who are not familiar with David's Table, I encourage you to check out a podcast episode that Katie and her team were on. So if you go to keyministry.org/podcast, you can see we had a conversation several months ago, and you can either listen to it or you can read the transcript in blog post form. But Katie is a delight. I'm sorry you can't actually see her today, but and her team is phenomenal. And so if you're coming to Disability in the Church, you can spend time with them in person.
Yes, please come check us out. We will be on the exhibition hall again this year too, and we're excited.
Yes.
And I would like to talk to Al. How do I get his contact information, Beth? Because night to shine.
Yeah, he can private message it if in the chat, or either one of you reach out to me.
Okay, great.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Katie. Barb.
Well, I had a question for the group, but before I get to that, Katie, I just want to say first, thank you for what you're doing. This is so huge. But also, as you guys start developing these plans to help families with this transitional time, if you're interested in hearing from a sibling's perspective, I am in the midst of this, literally as of this morning. I mean, right now, in the thick of it, in that my brother, who's 54, I am his co-guardian, but I'm taking over his guardianship and trying to get him where I live. At the same time, because my mom and dad did nothing, they both have memory problems now. So now I'm dealing with that too, all at the same time. And so as we're thinking of parents with these transitions, if you want to hear from a sibling and how that may play into the planning, I would be more than happy to talk to you about it.
Yes, I would very much. We are literally trying to pull together resources so that we can, and families, in fact, they're all different kinds. We do luckily have a remote uncle involved, but yes, I would love that. And
I will.
again, if you want, also anyone, davidstable.org, it's all one word. There's also tons of ways to contact, but my email is very simple. It's just katie.mitchell at davidstable, all one word, .org. And if you have any thoughts or ideas, I love to collaborate.
Okay, yeah, I'll send you my email if you want to reach out. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. I appreciate that.
All right, this is why I love this group.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Linda has her hand raised.
Yeah, even I think about this stuff because my parents are getting older. I'm on disability, which I have a love-hate relationship with because I have better insurance through my mom's insurance because of my disability. But then it's like my mom is up there in age and my dad is up there in age. And it's like, I know my dad, I could have quite a bit of inheritance. But it's like, I do think about these things right now. I don't. I mean, I'm 53 and a lot of people don't realize that, but but it is something. Where do you go to find this help, and where do you find help that's really going to help you, instead of trying to like get a percentage of whatever, so
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Well, think about if there's, maybe we bring this up as a disability ministry video topic again, because it sounds like this is something that lots of people are thinking about and learning about, and any way we can, help each other, I think and what role the church might be able to play in this as well. All right. Good stuff this month, everybody. Anybody else have any last minute things to share, to ask, to anything? Yes, Barb.
I just have a quick question. So in April, Wonderful Works, our theme is going to be moving students with disability from inclusion to belonging. And so our 5-minute training for church leaders is going to be helping them know how to talk to the other students in the class about a child's disability, but also how to encourage those interactions and friendships. And I was just wondering if anyone here had any tips they wanted to throw out.
So you want tips on how to encourage interactions and friendships?
Yeah. If anybody has any, we put together these things that are kind of like bullet points for ministry leaders, and this is our topic. So I just thought I would hear if anyone else had anything we might add to it.
Would you be willing to share your email address in case people think of something as soon as we end the call?
Yep. Did it too.
Put it in the chat, and I'll say it out loud too for those that maybe don't have access to the chat.
I'm trying to get off of direct message.
Is it barb@wonderfulworks.net?
Yep. That's it.
So barb@wonderfulworks.net.
Yep. That's it. Thank you.
All right. yeah, so mull that one over and shoot Barb an email.
Don't be afraid.
And I think like find commonalities, you know, like especially if you're talking like, you know, kids probably have a lot of common interests or whatever. Yeah, so focus on those. All right. Anybody else?
Can I share one neat little story? This made
Absolutely.
me think of it. So we have a little guy in our buddy program with our kids, and he really has struggled to be in with his peers. And we take 20 steps forward and 30 back, it feels like sometimes, but right now he's in our transitional room and we were working on moving him back in, and he was very nervous about going back. He said, I don't remember the kids. And so there was this one little boy that just loved this kid that's struggling. And so we're trying, it made me think of Sandra talking about reverse inclusion. I went to that little boy's family and asked if it would be okay for a few weeks, if he could go in after the large group time and be in with this friend that's struggling. And he's done that 2 weeks. And that little boy was so excited. The first week I didn't realize he was there and I missed going to get him. And he said, you didn't come for me. I wanted to go in with, and so it has been so amazing to see those two rekindle the friendship that we had. And we're hoping real soon we can try this friend back in with their peers again. So just
Love that.
we tried it in our kids' men and it's working for now.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah. And I think, did Sandra do a podcast episode on reverse inclusion? I think she did. So
I think
again,
maybe-
ministry.org/podcast.
I think she's talking about it at the conference too.
Yes, that's it. Yes, she
Yeah.
is. Yes. All right. Anybody else? Allison, I was hoping you'd raise your hand.
I don't know where to start. I've got too much to say. First of all, hi, Catherine, a fellow Brit here, but I'm over the other side. I'm with the Americans, but in Pennsylvania. And yeah, like Al and Beth are saying, just about recovered from night to shine. But I am not suggesting to my pastor that we do it 2 nights in a row. He already voiced a probability that we could, and I was like, no. So if I double my team before next year, then we'll go for it, right, Al? I was just going to say, I've actually got a little bit of a problem with that sort of reverse inclusion, but it's a very sweet story, but it's also, if you have got any ideas of a lovely freshman at high school, almost 6'2", strapping young lad that we've had come to our church since he was about 6, elopes, loves playing tag all the way around church all the time, became part of the cross country and track team at school, and that was there's been some wonderful stories of him being included there at school. However, at the moment I'm struggling on a Sunday morning because he's also very into food. And I kid you not, this kid can find food anywhere in our church. They'll be like, there's food in our church. And then literally he found candy in a cupboard down one way. He found cupcakes that somebody else had bought. And I don't know how to manage this on a Sunday morning. If anybody has any tips, this would be, I don't know whether to literally give him, I'm almost at the point now, do I give him the food to take round, so he literally has to deliver it all and then he can eat some? He finds ice pops in freezers. He finds, I mean, it's pretty impressive. If you ever want to find food that you didn't know you had, he's your guy. However, I am a little you know, I know his dental visits get very traumatic and he has to be sedated, so I'm trying to help his mum in the longer term. But yeah, he just wants to be with the high schoolers, and currently they have baked items that somebody's providing each week very kindly to encourage them. But you know, 3 slices later, it sort of escalates. So any ideas? I'm all yours.
I mean, I get, my first thought is, and I'm laughing because one time we had a student like escape from a classroom. I mean, this is years ago. And he made a beeline into like the office space and found, you know, like there were cupcakes or, you know, something like in the copy room, basically, or no, it's donuts. And he was in there. So he found it right away. But I guess I would probably maybe start with the parent just to say, like, how do you handle this at home? Like, is there a rule? Like, you know, you can have one of something, or we have to wait until we're sitting down, or like if there's some kind of rule, some kind of like what's the verbal prompt or what's the sign, maybe something like that. Anybody else have thoughts to share? Anybody else getting hungry now that food was brought up?
I was going to say, we have a lot that have food issues in our group. And so usually we do exactly what you said, Beth. We ask the parents, okay, so what is the rule at home? Because we want to at least enforce the standard that you are enforcing. And then we just set very clear expectations, and then we communicate that to everyone who's involved with that individual. Because we have a couple of them who would literally eat themselves into a coma,
Right.
Or eat until they throw up, which is even more joyful. And it's really more of a like a processing issue, and it's really, you know, some of it's behavior, but if you set that, even if it hasn't been in place before, if you just have that moment where you draw that line down and then get your entire team in a loving way to redirect and ask for some tips on how that redirection looks at home, I find you have a greater chance of success. But the critical thing is that everybody knows, because it's really horrible when you've got something that's working, then you have that volunteer that wasn't clued in and thinks, oh, well, she really likes me. Yes, she loves you. You've given her a dozen cupcakes. She will be your friend for the rest of your life.
Right. I think I'm seeing a lot of nods. I think this situation is not unfamiliar to this group. So
I have one more funny story to tell. We were at our summer camp one year, and we had been working on a verse of the week, and they had all made like poster boards that they were going to hold up. We were saying the verse at the program. And we have this one gal that loves food. A lot of mine do too as well. But we get to the end, and she was supposed to say like Psalm, whatever the verse was. And instead she yells, hot dog, in the middle of the program, because she knew we were having hot dogs after, and she was so obsessed about getting to the food. So
it's funny. All right. Well, if you have any other ideas, feel free. You can always send things to me and I can get them out to the right people. But thanks everyone. I feel like this was like a well-needed gathering this month. We had a lot to talk about. So thank you. So just a little announcements. So our third Wednesday of the month, which I believe is March 20th this month. So we always have a topic for our disability ministry video roundtable. We're doing something a little different. So once a quarter on our third Wednesday, we're going to do a mental health ministry video roundtable. And so that's what it's going to be this month. So Catherine Boyle, Key Ministries Director of Mental Health Ministry, will be running that. So that'll be a great time for us to kind of delve into a little bit different arena. So please join us for that. And of course, we hope that you'll come to Disability in the Church, and that's at keyministry.org/DATC 2024. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you being here and all the conversation, and we will see you next month. Bye.